أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum dear students. Welcome to English Corner. In this lesson we will talk about tone and mood. Whenever we read our national anthem or listen to it or sing it, we feel that Rabindranath Tagore has got a particular attitude towards the Bangla. He has used in the title the word golden, and we understand that he has a very positive feeling, positive emotion, positive attitude towards Bengal. He has used particular diction, particular structures, punctuation, and he has described the positive aspects of Bangla, and he feels a very close, sympathetic feeling towards Bangla. In the same way, when we read it as readers or listeners or audience, we also feel almost the same. I'm sure that when we read it or when we listen to it, there are very few persons in whose eyes there is no tears. So we see that the text maintains a link between the writer and the audience. And this link is intellectual, emotional kind. The attitude of the writer towards the things presented or described in the text is called tone, and the attitude of the readers or the audience or listeners created by the text is called mood. So we see that the text lies in between the writer and the reader, and writer has some kind of attitude towards the text, and reader intellectual emotional attitude is also created by the text, which is called mood. We have found that tone is the author's or the speaker's attitude, and mood refers to the audience's emotional state created by the text. Tone and mood are important aspects of any text, whether it is oral or written, academic or non-academic. These are also important aspects for discussion to understand literature. Tone is the attitude of the author towards the subject, and mood is the attitude of the author towards the audience, which affects the audience to feel an emotional attitude. Let us discuss both of them in detail. Tone is the writer's attitude towards the subject of the text, the audience, and self. There are many ways in which the tone is expressed or the feelings are expressed by the writer or the author or the poet. Tone can be conveyed through the use of diction, the words that the author uses in his or her writing. It can be conveyed through the use of point of view, the author's view and how it affects his or her writing. For example, the author can use first-person point of view or third-person point of view. Syntax, the arrangement of words to create sentences, is another way of expressing feelings towards the things displayed or portrayed in the text. The author's level of formality, whether the author is formal or informal, is also an important aspect of expression of tone. So through using this, the writer expresses his or her tone or attitude towards the subject or the self or the audience. Tone can be serious, sarcastic, solemn, objective, satirical, wicked, ironic, matter of fact, that is real, bemused, outraged, angry, respectful, and it can be disdainful or cynic, etc. Tone tells us how the authors feel about the fragment of life displayed in the story. I'm sure that you know, in every story or in every writing, there is or are some ideas or there is a story presented, and how the writers feel towards the fragment of life displayed or the ideas presented in the text. In every text and every time there is a tone, but of course the tone may change. For example, at first the tone is very optimistic and it may turn into a pessimistic tone at the end of a story. So the tone can change, but no text can be at any time without a tone. So tone is always there, but it may change over the phases. On the other hand, mood is the feeling a piece of literature arouses in the reader. After reading a text, the reader may be happy, sad, or peaceful, or excited, or sympathetic, etc. The overall feeling of the piece or the passage that the readers have within themselves. It could be called the author's emotional intellectual attitude towards the subject. By choosing certain words rather than others and by weaving their connotations together, an author can give whole settings and scenes a kind of personality or mood. So the mood is created by the authors, not the readers or the audience. So readers are here secondary, and readers are almost compelled to have a kind of feeling or attitude or mood by the text, created by the text, or aroused by the presentation as it is in the text. For example, if a tall, thin tree is described as spiked like a witch's hat, it creates a scary mood. So, mood can only arise from a steady pressure in the language towards one major atmospheric effect. The point of view, the sentences, syntactic structures, the words, all of them are used to create a particular atmosphere in the text, which affects the readers or audience to have a particular feeling towards the things being spoken of or written in the text. And that effect should support the main purpose of the story. And of course, the atmospheric effect or the atmosphere created by using words and syntactic structures should support the main idea of the text or main plot of the text. So mood is the emotion evoked by a text in the reader, and it is what you experience as reader or audience or listener. Writers use many devices to create the mood in a text. For example, dialogue, setting, where and when the story takes place, who the characters are, etc. There can be rise and fall of action or events throughout the piece. So there can be climax and anticlimaxes in the plot, which affect the mood of the audience or the readers. There can be different types of mood which can be caused by a text and felt by a reader. Some of them are suspense, lonely, happy. The readers might feel happy after reading this. Even readers might feel angry. They can be anxious, they can be tense, they can be suspicious, excited, depressed, scared, and disgusted. I can give you an authentic example. If you read a text on coronavirus, and if the writer uses very fearful, scary words and of course or images, and of course you feel very scared as well. But if the writers use, say in the text, some positive words, shows some hope, I'm sure that you feel after reading it, you feel positive, you feel somewhat happy, you feel having some hope, etc. Let us have some tone and mood examples. I would rather stay here and wait than go into that dark room. So you see, here the writer has used first person point of view, and he has used some words like dark room. So a tone of fear is clear here. But when we have the sentence like, the night was dark and stormy, and this use of these words create a scary mood among us as readers. I called my friend at their house. Her brother said, she is not home, but I heard her voice coming over the line. So here, the tone is suspicious. There was plenty of food and the music was playing. Everybody was having a good time. So it creates a happy atmosphere, and as readers we also have a happy mood. Tone and mood of Sonnet 18 by Shakespeare. At the beginning of this sonnet we have optimism, tone of optimism, but which changes to frustration when it talks about the changing nature of nature, and every beauty from beauty changes and withers away. And then at the end, Shakespeare is confident that through literature his friend's beauty will be immortalized. And after reading this, we also, as readers, we also feel happiness, delight, and to some extent frustration. Here are some tone and mood words. Tone can be positive, it can be negative as well. Even mood can be positive and mood can be negative as well. Besides positive and negative mood and tone, the tone can be impartial, tone can be neutral. For example, impartial, no criticism, no hatred, not excitement are expressed, just objectively expressing the tone, and it will be on the shoulders of the readers how they will feel about the text, about the things or ideas displayed or presented in the text. So when you write about tone and mood of a text, try to understand the vocabulary, particular vocabulary or words used in the text, and try to understand in which situation the writer might be or might have been at the time of writing, and how you feel as a reader. That is your mood. And use some of these words which fit your feelings or your ideas about the tone and mood of the text, and then write about them. So as I have said, tone can be neutral, it can be commanding, it can be direct, it can be impartial, indirect, meditative, objective, questioning, etc. Here is a poem, a small poem, and if we want to understand the tone and mood after reading this, we find that this poem's mood could be described as gloomy because the poem is about death. The tone might be described as serious. The words used in the poem give clues as to how the author feels about winter. Words like barren, chattering, shivering, gloomy, squeezes, the last breath, all show that the author does not look at winter in a good way. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'm sure that you have understood and got some ideas about tone and mood, the differences between them, and how to identify tone and mood in a text. Take care, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.